What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a good week so far. Good to see you. Hopefully your semester is going smoothly. We are over halfway done. I think this is week 8. I think we have like 4 more weeks left together. It's pretty crazy. It's going so fast. But you know, similar stuff on the docket today. I know you did have one assignment done or due today, which was going to be your let's see. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully you have a backup save. Let's check this out. I know you do have a check-in. You had a check-in due last week. Let's see here. Yeah, so you should just have your character design and reference due today, which we talked about last week, so shouldn't be too crazy. And then you'll have another check-in next week. So that being said, let's jump into what we need to do today. We are going to keep working on our human model, right? On the docket for today, or what we're going to try to take care of as far as our model goes, is we're going to be looking at getting our leg attached to our foot, right, that we downloaded and brought in. We're then going to be looking at the different muscle groups. We're going to look at the back and the butt. We'll look at the chest and abs as well. Hopefully get all of those taken care of. And just kind of tidy up our model anywhere that it feels like it needs to be tidied up a little bit. And then by next week, hopefully we'll be able to start working on the head. And the head will be a couple of weeks work time. And then with any time left over, I could demo hair. I can go over doing eyebrows, things like that. So we can get into those things if time permits. But we're making good progress, and with the things that we're going to do today, we should be on schedule. So I would just like to take a look at a few of those things. Like I said, our model's in pretty good shape. I'm happy with where it's going. I would like to take a look. You know, we're going to talk about the back muscles, the chest today. Character design reference images are due today as well. Yes, they are. Thanks for the reminder, Austin. But yeah, that character reference document is due today at midnight. So, any other questions you guys have right now? Since we're kind of at the midpoint of the semester, like a little bit past the midpoint, I guess now. You guys should hopefully be making a little bit of progress on your out-of-class models. Hopefully you can ramp that up as this ramps down. You can ramp up the production of your other model as we kind of get to the tail end of this one. So at this point, you can definitely be working on that model actively, trying to get, you know, pieces of it completed. Remember that it needs to be a full character. So not just like a naked model like this. You got to build a character. So it doesn't have to be as detailed as this person we're building right now. So people have asked, you know, you know, this is my first experience with Maya or other things like that. Do I have to do something super complicated? No. You could do a simple character. Like, you could think of something that might be fun to look into, since we're doing a really, you know, stylized, or not a really, like a pretty realistic human, even though mine's a little more stylized, kind of a comic book person. You could look into smaller characters, you know, chibi type stuff, things that are a little bit more simple, more simple stylized characters. There was a person on Instagram that I just followed yesterday who has some really cool designs, and maybe I could throw him your way. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find the person. I don't follow a ton of people on Instagram, so it should be easy to find. Yeah, this guy's great. His name's Psycho Ramen. Let's throw that in the Discord chat. So I'll show you this. I think it's this guy. Yeah, this is great. So if you look at, you know, something like this, where this guy has some super stylized, simple character designs, things like this would be totally acceptable for your out of class character. Something that's not gonna take you, you know, weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to complete. Maybe a week or two to complete is, you know, hard surface robot. Yeah, that would be fine. But I'm thinking, you know, simple characters, super simple characters like this, you know, that aren't going to kill you to try to build these shapes, you know. And maybe you don't get all of the accessories done, you know. But things like this would be really cool. He's got some really simplistic designs, but they have a lot of character to them, right? So I followed him because I thought they were super cool. Like, I love this, right? So just keep those in mind as you're working on your out of class character, that you don't need to do something super insane, right? You're not trying to build Master Chief. You just don't have the time, right? So try to keep it simple, okay? I do want it to be, you know, I want you to challenge yourself a little bit, but I don't want you to, you know, do something that's completely out of scope, right? Yep, no check-in for today, just the character refs. And obviously you'll have your attendance question as well. Okay, so let's take a look at the chest first, because we can knock this piece out, as well as the abs too. That should be fairly easy to take care of. So we're gonna put these all back on their layer. I'm not clicking on stuff. Superhero in tights like Batman. Yeah, that's fine. And I say that's fine because he's going to have some other accessories, right? So that's just fine. You're struggling to find good references for front and side perspective for my character. I suggest where to look. I would look on Pinterest. That's a good place to look for turnarounds. Like you just type in your character and then say turnaround sheet. It's usually a good spot to look. They have a lot of different references there. Same thing with ArtStation. ArtStation should have quite a bit of references there as well. What part should we have for our own character? It just depends. Everyone's going to be kind of at a different point. I would just make sure that you're trying to keep pace. Know that you have to get it turned in on a specific date, right? So just try to keep yourself on pace for that. I mean, your finished out of class character model is going to be due on August 12th. So just try to keep yourself on pace for that, right? That's still a month and a week out. So, you know, you're 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you're 5 weeks out from that. So just know that you need to get your if you have already submitted, is there any chance of modification later? Yeah. If you already submitted your character model, yeah, you can definitely resubmit if you'd like, for sure. Okay, so let's actually get the foot attached first. Let's take a look at that real quick. So what I want to do here really fast is combine both of these meshes, right? You brought in the foot from the canvas page. So you're just going to marquee over both of these models here and go mesh combine. And then we also need to take a look at, you know, how many edges we have here, because I believe we have 14 on our foot and we have 12 on our leg. Okay. So with that being said, we need to reduce some of the geometry here on the foot to accommodate and get it attached. And what I'm going to do is just collapse a couple edges here. So I think what I'm going to do is just collapse this one and this one and this one and this one on the back of the foot here, the back side near your Achilles. So I'm going to right click and hold while I'm holding shift, and I'm going to go merge collapse and then merge. Sorry, not merge. Merge collapse edges, collapse edge right here. Okay. And that will collapse those into a spot so that now we have 12 edges here. And then what I want to do is just target weld this all down. So what I'm going to do is just target weld. I believe I'm going to target weld the leg down to the foot. So we'll just go to our modeling toolkit here and we'll hit target weld. And we'll just weld all of these things down onto the foot. And then if we need to adjust anywhere on here, we can. We could also use our relax tool that we used the last time to just kind of relax some of these edges around here to try to smooth that out. But again, I don't want to go too nuts because I do want to keep, you know, the shape that we built for our calf muscle too. So I don't want to relax it too much, but enough to make sure that that ankle attaches and looks right. And then I want to check my reference as well and just kind of see where things are lining up. If I need to adjust some of these vertices around, I can. Into a spider web shape. Yeah, we can take a look at it again. So let's do this real quick. Let's back up. We've kind of adjusted here. Hopefully I have enough undos here. Okay, so if we're doing that, right, here's the back. I'm just going to click here, click here, click here, and click here. I'm holding shift, right? Then I'm going to shift, right click and hold, go to merge collapse and collapse edge. And it should just collapse those. If you accidentally had vertices selected and you did that, then it's going to do, you know, the spider web thing. So don't do it with vertices. Make sure you're doing it with the edges, right? So we've got this edge, this edge, this edge, and this edge selected. Shift, right click and hold, merge collapse edges, collapse edge. And then if you really wanted to, you could go like this and come in here and do a bridge and just bridge those together. And then you could delete an edge out like this, and that would be fine. Or you could do, you know, the target weld like I did. So either way works out just fine. So we can come in here like this and go, you know, bridge, and then come in here and shift right click, delete an edge loop out. And then we'll still need to go through here and, you know, adjust our edge loops around. And again, I'm just going to try to match my reference the best I can, right? The foot's not going to be perfectly the same as my reference, right? Because this is a modeled foot versus, you know, a sketched foot that got built. So it's not going to be perfect. But we can get it close. Okay. So we've got that foot attached. Sometimes it's nice to just do a quick mirror. Just to see how you're doing as far as your reference goes, right? That's still looking pretty good. What I'd like to do here is take this edge and push this back in a little bit. Same thing here. Because I do want to make sure that that is lining up properly. But I don't want to go too crazy with it yet. I know that I'm going to have to extrude some stuff out of here, so that's okay that it's not perfectly lining up with that quite yet. I'm just adjusting kind of the side of my character right now. Because we're going to end up doing the abs here. So I definitely want to kind of flatten this down so that when we do that extrusion, it's not all messed up. Okay. I'm going to turn on symmetry X and just kind of continue adjusting this for just a minute here. Just working on the kind of abdomen area a little bit more here. So just working on shaping the chest area because I know I'm going to have to extrude this out here in just a second. So I'm gonna have to come in here and do some extrusions. So to do the extrusion for the chest, I'm gonna take these faces, I believe. Turn off Object X. I'd like to take all of these here, but so let's try this here and see how this works. So I'm going to extrude here. Take this in and then bring this out. And this is going to turn into our pec muscle here. The only problem I can see is that it might end up looking a little weird right there on that corner. Have to work that out a little bit, but it might end up being okay. Let's see. Let's come back and rethink this for a second. I could just do this as the extrusion here. Yeah, I think that's actually okay. Let's try this. So I'll take these faces and extrude this. We'll shrink it down. And we'll work out shaping that instead. I think this is okay here. And we'll just use this as our shaping tool here. Okay. And I want to make sure that I'm following my reference here. weird thing is that this whole piece here just seems out of whack. So just adjusting some of the edge loops here on the back. You're definitely gonna have some work cut out back here to get these looking right. So we'll get there. But again, just checking this reference, this is kind of different from what I've got, so I need to try to rework some of this a little bit here. What I may do is just delete the half that I'm not working on currently. And then try to get this figured out here. So I'm going to turn on soft select. I'm going to come over here. Just try to get this kind of adjusted where I think it belongs. And I'm just going to try to get this kind of adjusted a little bit as well. And I'm using soft select because I don't want to damage the overall shape too badly. I want to come in here and try to take a look at what's going on. This is a spot that just takes a little bit of time to get to look accurate. You'll notice that with some of these more detailed areas when you're trying to get things to look proper. Loose extrusions. Yes, if you know that there's an extrusion in an area, that's, you know, an extra one that you don't necessarily need, there is some ways to get rid of them. So what you can do, first thing I usually take a look at is just hovering over that area or selecting over that area like this with a marquee select and then doing an edit mesh merge in that area. And that should get rid of extrusions that are sitting over the top of each other. So you could give that a try. Let's check this in a mirrored mode now. Well, it's feeling a little better. I'd like to take some of these back just a hair. I lost. Did I lose an edge loop there? There we go. That was weird. Turn object X on again. And you're just gonna have to kind of tweak and push and pull these spots until you get them feeling right. So you'll notice I might move a vert and then I'll come back to it and move it again. It's just kind of a little bit of a process to make sure things are looking right and feeling right. So you'll notice I do that as I go through some of these spaces again. Okay. Okay. We're still just kind of working through this chest area. As we check our smooth mode, we're just trying to see what that sculpt kind of looks like, right? So if there's some spots that are still feeling weird, we can always come through and adjust, right? starting to feel pretty good. For me, I just like this, you know, just to be a little bit lower. So I'm going to take this and just kind of bring this down. And again, you know, you're following a reference, but as you're building the model, it may, you know, you may notice something where you're like, that just doesn't, as an artist, you're like, that just doesn't feel right, you know? And so sometimes you have to take those liberties and be like, I'm just going to adjust this to where it feels right in my brain. Because, you know, a lot of the times your 2D artist that's building these concepts are just working with that 2D element. And when you get it into 3D, it may not translate perfectly well. So if you notice something, it's always good to have that communication back and forth with that concept artist you're working with, right? And just be like, hey, I've run into this issue. You know, are you okay if I take this liberty and kind of change this here just because it makes more sense in the 3D world? And then most of the time, every time I've had that conversation with my concept artists when I was working on a game, right? They would be okay with it. Sometimes there's a little bit of back and forth and you kind of come to a compromise. You're like, okay, well, if this is a certain element of the character that has to be here, then we'll come to a compromise and make this work. But if it's something that's just like, okay, you weren't totally sure how that would function in 3D space and I can make the adjustment to make it more believable, then let's just change it and fix it, right? We're getting those muscles sculpted in there pretty good. There are some areas that we can continue to work on. Next, the next area I'd kind of like to address is the abs. And we can do that a couple different ways, right? First easiest way is to just take one of these areas, right, through here and do an extrusion. But I kind of like to prep this space first for that. So I'm going to come in here and try to get that area as settled as possible. If it turns out I need another vertex through here, I can grab another one. But we can tend to make it work through here. So I'm kind of looking at the first set of the abs, you know, here, 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 and here, right? So if we kind of take that, in the past I've done something like this where I take this whole area and do an extrusion like this, but I'm not sure that's exactly what I want to do, just because I don't think that's quite the shape. I mean, it could work. Just trying to take a look and see what we have going here. You know, maybe this is the route that we take, but because we could end up doing something like this. And all I did there was collapse an edge, and maybe that's the route. So I actually don't mind how that looks right now. And there's obviously some work we need to do down here. But that's feeling okay. And then we can really adjust this as needed. And then what you can do with these is take, you know, turn off your object X. And to get a little bit more shape on some of those abs, you can extrude those too. I'll just extrude here too. Obviously, it doesn't need to be that harsh. Let's take the other half here. And we can always remirror this again. Mesh, mirror. And then if you end up needing to do some merging, you can. So vertex here, mesh, merge to center. Then you can come through with certain edge loops. Just figure out where you need to. Push certain areas back to get the definition you're looking for there, right? One second, guys. Okay. So, as you can see, that's starting to look a little bit better in that space, right? Like when we first did that extrusion, it felt a little weird, but now as we're kind of tightening up some of these areas, it's starting to feel a lot better. And I'd like to take this whole thing and go mesh, display, harden edge again. We're just kind of narrowing the spaces in between those. And it helps, you know, with that shape too. Just like all of the other spaces through here, the abs can be a tough spot to model for sure. So just trying to get as accurate as you can while trying to keep the correct shapes that you're going for. If you can get that achieved, then you've won the battle with that piece. So let's hit that again. And even in this situation, with how harsh we've made these, we could even take some of these back. And just make some of those extrusion lines not so intense. We can keep working on that spot too, for sure. There are some other things that we can do in these areas where we like cut in geometry and like remove some edges like this. To help with certain places and spots here. It just kind of helps that pulling and stuff in those spots. So we can take a look there too. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break really fast here, and then we'll jump right back into this. So I will be right back, okay? Okay, we're back. So let's just take a little bit further look in some of these spots. See if there's anything we can do here to help. If we were to relax some of these spots. Then again, I just want to check it to the reference. So if we need to come through here with like our soft select tool, just kind of pull some of this out. Pull some of these areas back. We can do that. Hello, Chloe. We are So I don't necessarily mind how this looks right now, but I think we could benefit from some more shaping in this area. So and I'd kind of like to do this up here as well. So I'm going to take those, just cut through there and here. And then delete these out. Edge mode here, shift right click, delete edge. Hi to everybody. Okay, here you go. Here, I'll just give you my phone here. There you go. Okay, I do like how this is looking now. I just want to double check it here. and adjust it to the reference, because this actually does more this here. Okay. It's okay too. We're just gonna kind of checking the reference again here, seeing how this lines up. So again, I'm just, if you're watching kind of my step-by-step process here, I'm just checking the smooth mode constantly, right? Because we're going to eventually smooth this entire model. So my goal is to check what that smooth mode looks like, right? If I'm okay with how that looks. And then I jump back to my unsmoothed version. Now I'm going to take these two. I'm going to do something similar up here to try to get some more of the shape, and then we'll do maybe a couple more extrusions over here just to try to shape out the rest of the stomach muscles over here. But to get, you know, kind of the top abdominal shape here, I'm going to extrude these. So turn off my Object X, grab these here, do an extrusion here. Again, I'm just going to kind of work with that reference in here. And this one doesn't need to be crazy out there, but we're just trying to, again, follow that shape. Yeah, thank you. Time to save. Yes, we've done a lot of work, so definitely save. If the reference pictures need to be original or if you can find it online. For your out of class character or this one that we're doing now, I would hope you would already have references for this model. If you're talking about your out of class character, then they can be online. I'm going to remirror this. We've got a piece here that I'd like to kind of extrude and shape a little bit. Really just depends on how this ends up looking though. Okay. So, there is, you know, some more detail that I'd like to try to capture here. So if we're looking here, there is a kind of muscle group that follows along here. Like these faces. I'm just wondering if I were to do something like this, if I could make it look good. Or if it wouldn't end up looking bad. Let's see. And again, remember, you don't have to exactly follow everything I'm doing here, right? If you're working on solving the problems of your specific references, you know, muscle definition, then that's what I'm looking for, right? This guy's pretty jacked, and maybe the reference you picked isn't quite as jacked as the reference that I picked, and that's okay. Again, remember we talked about it last week, that my job is to help you learn how to problem solve, and what I'm doing, how I'm doing so is by showing you how I go about problem solving when modeling something similar, right? I'm just trying to see if I can make that look good without it being weird. Doesn't look too bad. If I take half of my character here, delete it, and then remirror this. Oh, what did I do? That's looking pretty good. I do want to get one more kind of piece in here to help sell that a little bit more on the front. That is doing what I want it to do there. Maybe not so harshly. Let's see. Okay, there is one more kind of area through here. I don't know if it's like right here that I want to. Oh, is that actually going to do? This is still way too harsh, so I'm gonna see if I can. Just reduce that a little bit. Still feels too harsh. Feels a little bit better. Maybe if I that feels better. Yeah, if you want to use it in your out of class model, that's okay. I'll let you guys use that foot if you want to use it. That's fine. Yeah, I don't mind that. Since I let you use it for this, I think it's fine. Okay. So that, there's definitely some areas that I would like to refine, but I don't want to spend, a crazy amount of time, because with me, like, I can sit here and tweak this area for hours and hours and hours to make it look right. And I'm pretty happy with that in the smooth mode. There's definitely some spots that we could look at to like really push a little bit further if we wanted to. But that's feeling pretty good. And then we do need to put a belly button. So let's take this spot here and we'll extrude. And then we can push this back in. If you wanted to do this and then take it again and extrude it again in there, you could. get you a belly button. Okay. So now our characters looks, you know, a little bit more realistic. And like I said, you can, however you want to do that belly button, you can. I'm not super concerned about it. Just make sure your character has one because it's a human being, right? So, that looks pretty good. The next piece, I mean, where are we at right now as far as time goes? 4:43. Okay. We could take a look at the back muscles here for a little bit if we want. So we do need to get some of these back muscles in here. And just kind of looking, we have our, you know, trap muscle that we could blow up and make sure we're getting in the right spot so that it feels like it's in the right spot for the back, right? Because that muscle's pretty big and will cover a good portion here, depending on where you look at it, right? And we can make sure the rest of our back kind of aligns with what we're thinking here. But while we're trying to get this all kind of pieced together, it's good to just double check everything else. That's a pretty big muscle, right, that runs all the way back through here. Okay. So now that we've got, we've got that trap that kind of sits there where you're dealt, sorry. And you've got your traps and your lats. So now we can kind of look at what we can extrude here based on those things, right? And if we need to push our model forward so that we can see a little bit better based on that, we can. And sometimes it's even helpful to take stuff off of a reference and pull some of these back ones in front of you like this when you start working on the back, and turn off some of your other ones. So like you could pull this one and build its own reference and then turn these ones off, especially when you're trying to work on the back. That can be helpful. Then you can rotate your model. If you go modify center pivot, you could just rotate him 180 degrees so that your front view is now looking at the back of your model, right? And you can turn X-ray mode off since you've got your reference here. So looking at this, right, we need to get some of these more specific muscles in here. And now we don't want to lose geometry. So it's just trying to gather where we can take this from in order to build these, right? And if we need to cut in some more geometry in here, we could. Like if we needed to take an edge loop all the way down through here and like terminate it here or something, that would be fine to give us more geometry. And then if we needed to, we could try to reroute this by taking it something like this through the back, just to give us some more geometry back here, right? And I'm not too worried about terminating it on this side, just because we're gonna delete half this model anyways. So we could even do that now if we wanted to. Just make sure you're getting all the faces. So we will have a little bit of a triangle here, but I'm not super worried about a triangle right there right now. We can fix that in a little while. I'm more worried about trying to solve the problem of having enough geometry to sculpt where I need it, right? And what I'm focused on trying to build right now is this muscle group. So I'm trying to grab, a line that kind of comes from here down to the middle of the back, kind of right here. I'm just kind of shaping out the area to grab those verts. So I'm going to do something like this and grab all these all the way down here like this. Maybe even still need to just shape this a little bit better through here. And then I'll do an extrusion. And I'll grab that. And then I'll pull this out. And it's going to be very similar to, oh crap. See, I want to make sure I did not grab faces on the front. So I'll do an extrusion again. Bring these out. And it's going to look a little funny, right? But we're getting the general shape, you know what I mean? So if we're looking here now, we've kind of got that general shape in there. Now we just need to start building some of these other shapes too, right? So then I can go about, you know, working to not make some of this so harsh, rounding a lot of this out, right? So if I take this kind of center line through here, round that muscle out a little bit, then I can kind of taper it off on this side too, right? As well as work with some of this other geometry to help shape some of these areas. Again, it's not bad to check your references too, right? Just to make sure you're not completely out of whack over here. Like if I need to take this whole section here and just kind of push this back in line. Oh, that's the front, sorry. My back muscles here, because again, something we don't quite have is his spine angle, so we just kind of have to make a judgment call on some of this. Like we do want the shape, right, but we don't know if we need it so harsh. So we can dial some of this stuff back in. Yeah, I would start modeling your out of class stuff today. I think that's a good idea. Oh, how do I know I'm not moving the vertices? It's just a little bit of practice over time. Like, something that people get really nervous about in 3D modeling is like, okay, if I select a bunch of vertices like this and move it, I'm going to jack my whole thing up. And it can, but at the same time, if you're smart about it and you move it with like soft select, or you take a second to just kind of check before you do that final movement. I'm not super worried about doing those kind of big movement pieces where I take a big marquee of an area and move that as I used to be. It's just kind of practice, right? As you get more comfortable in the software, you'll learn that, right? Like, I used to be super nervous to move things in general, and then you start to realize it's like, okay, if I move it and it doesn't look great, I can always move it back, right? It's not the end of the world. There's nothing stopping me from moving something back. So the more and more you get comfortable doing that, the easier it will get. Like, moving a bunch of vertices isn't going to completely destroy your model, right? It may cause some minor inconveniences where you'll have to go back through and move some stuff, but it's not a huge deal. You'll get more comfortable with it. It just takes time, right? As far as like making sure you don't have things selected, when you marquee like this, when you're in a side view and you marquee, I'll usually jump back to like a perspective and just rotate and see what I have selected, and then I'll jump back to the side view and then move, right? So you can take those kind of opportunities to make sure you're not destroying anything, right? But most of the time it's okay. It can definitely be a little bit daunting at first, and you're like, oh crap, that's a lot of, I'm moving a lot of stuff right now, and I don't know if I'm super comfortable moving all that. And then you're like, oh, well, I just moved a big chunk of these, and it really didn't hurt too bad to move all those, so you get used to it. Okay. Something I want to do here is just kind of check. Just looking at the smooth mode here. Got some of those back muscles kind of sculpted in. I'm going to just mirror this real fast. It's a good thing I did because I'm really overlapping in some of those spots, which is okay. But I'm going to do a quick edit, delete all by type history because we've done a lot of work. Edit, delete all by type history, and then I'm going to do a file, save scene as. I'm going to call this torso 006. Just let that save for a second. Because we've done quite a bit of work, so it's a good idea to save. We go to 5:30, correct? I just want to make sure I'm not keeping you guys over on time. I know we usually end a little bit early every week just because I try to give you some lap time. So if we're good on time, then we may call it here. We'll do the butt next week and then start the head. And finish the back. Okay, cool. We go to 5:30. Okay. Okay, come on, Maya. Save, I believe in you. Okay, cool. So I'm going to turn on Object X. This is okay. So what we're gonna do is okay, I see kind of what happened here. Let's jump back a step here before we even mirrored this guy. Which I'm pretty sure I have the undos to do that. Let's see. There we go. Something weird definitely happened there. Let's go mesh mirror. Zero 0.01. Okay, that's way better. I don't know why that did that. Perfect. That mesh merge to center. Okay, that's much more like what I was looking for. Our character definitely has no butt, so he looks a little funny right now. But we're getting some of these back muscles in here, which is good. We can come in here and refine these a little bit more. Oh, you're okay. If you did the butt, that's fine. No worries. No problem. Just means you're a little bit further ahead than us, so that's okay. But let's take a second. Let's go through our attendance question. We did quite a lot today. I'm pretty happy with where we've gotten to. Our guy's looking pretty stacked, which is cool. Definitely made quite a bit of progress with, you know, it's a lot of muscle groups to work through to make it look right. So I'm happy with where that's at. Let's stop for today. But let's do an attendance question. So let's go notepad. File type restrictions. Oh, thanks for the heads up. Let's make sure that that works properly. I may have restricted it just to PDF. But yeah, let's unrestrict that. Actually, you know what? I think I'd prefer, Ethan, if we did do them in a PDF. That way, just combine your two images into a PDF, and then I can click through them. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't really matter, but I'll just unrestrict it. It's fine. Just do PNGs. That's just fine. For our attendance question today, let's do abdominal muscles. Why does muscles look like it's spelled wrong? It's just a weird word. Google Doc and it submitted fine. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, this is your attendance answer for today. Abdominal muscles. Okay. There you go. We're gonna do another save real quick. Okay, so stop where we're at right here. Next week we'll finish up the back. There's definitely a lot of work to be done there as far as that back goes, but we'll get there. And then we did your attendance question. Make sure you turn in your reference assignment for tonight. Trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so. Your check-in will be next week, so wherever we get to after the stream next week will be what you turn in for your check-in. And with that, I will leave you all, and you can have a good rest of your week and weekend, and I will see you all next Wednesday, okay? Have a good one, everyone. Thanks.
Is the Earth flat?
Yes, 100%. You're not a globetard. Please do not tell me you're a fucking globetard. Holy shit, dude. I used to like you, Asmin, but now more and more.
Listen, I don't know if you can joke about that because of the misinformation fucking
no,
bullshit on Twitch.
Shut the fuck up, McConnell!
I'm just saying, dude.
Shut the fuck up!
I'm just saying.
Fucking no, don't talk
You
to
don't
me
know. You don't know what
no,
you can get banned
no,
for.
You
literally just got banned.
No, you hide behind a fucking World of Warcraft picture. Shut up. I don't want to hear.
What are you talking about? What does that have anything to do with what I'm talking about?
Shut up, shut up, shut up. You don't get an opinion.
Okay,
unless you show your face, you don't get to talk. America faked the moon landing, by the way.
How do you know that?
Proven. It's just bullshit.
Freak, just go say this dumb shit on your channel.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up, fat ass.
Go fucking say that. Me?
Shut up.
You want to talk about me being a fat ass, dude?
Shut up.
Says
Shut
you,
up.
Greek. Holy shit, dude.
But I've been spamming Asmongold's chat with play Final Fantasy 14 or win Final